So, Jeff, how's it going with that? Did you see that comment that I sent you?
I don't think so.
Okay, I just commented it should have a ground lead to both amplifiers. That I wouldn't count on the path down through the heatsink and up and through the heatsink compound up to the second pallet. That's all. That it should have its own lead.
Oh, okay.
Oh, in fact, you just sent me an email on it.
Actually, I see your questions. You were also asking about the power supply covering the input. It does. It doesn't cover it completely. There's still some space, but I'm gonna have to see if it cools correctly. That was one of my concerns, and I thought I'd try it first with a power supply in the cabinet and see how it performs. That's, Anders says there'll be no problem, but if it does get hot, then I plan to remove that power supply and put it outside the cabinet and attach 4 fans to the front of that heatsink.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do, and be able to modulate the speed of the fans so if it doesn't have to cool, it isn't working real hard trying to.
Would it be acceptable for that ground thing you were talking about to jumper from the other side of the copper pallet? Make a ground jumper at that point?
I suppose you could, but it would be better if it had its own.
Okay, gotcha.
Gosh, all those mounting screws you have that screwed down through those pallets, that should be more than enough ground.
You would think so, but keep in mind that heatsink compound is an insulator, and then you're talking about stainless steel screws through copper into aluminum. There's potential for dissimilar metal stuff going on, especially with current going through it.
WD9N.
W9N.
And your 9N.
Just like on my boat trailer, I don't use the trailer for anything other than hauling the boat. For electrical connections, they all have wires.
Yeah.
The ground, the return, I should say, has as good a equal wire as the supply. So it's just all, I don't believe in using the chassis for anything other than hauling the boat. In my amp, I've got a negative lead going right to the copper pallet from the power supply.
Yeah.
Not going through the trailer hitch first on the way. Every time you turn the corner, your blinker quits.
As for that coax length off of each of the pallet into the combiner, the two lengths should be exactly equal. And what the purpose is to change the phase of the reflected products bouncing off of the low-pass filter. And and the way he has it with the combiner right on the low-pass filter, you can't just play with that, or I don't think you can play with that coax length. Maybe you can to change that overall length, but it's something about the phasing of the reflected products. I could probably ask PQL that question and see if he has any knowledge about how to determine that length.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought you knew how to do it using some test equipment.
Well, you might be able to do it with the test equipment, but I don't have anything like that anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I misunderstood. Well, what would be like the impact? How would you know something was wrong when you're operating the amplifier?
Well, you'd probably conceivably you might have instability of the pallets or excessive power dissipation coming back. Because all those reflected products have to go someplace.
Usually when something's unhappy, the power output will be fluctuating. It'll be floating around.
Yeah, and you'll be able to see it on the Banan's spectrum display and fish finder. If it's unhappy, it'll put out birdies on each side of the carrier floating around.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just go back and ask Ander, how to test, and I'll ask him those same questions. Somehow I thought you mentioned you had some weird test equipment that would be able to determine.
Yeah, not anymore. As far as setting the bias, that can be set without any drive on it. Just key up everything and then slowly bring up the bias on each pallet. You'll have to have a clamp on amp meter for the power going to each pallet to monitor the current on the individual pallets in order to be able to set that. And you can do that with the low-pass filter off to the side somewhere.
Okay, but you do still need the low-pass filter connected.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't fire up the pallets without something hooked up to them. Preferably the low-pass filter and a dummy load on it.
Gotcha.
All kinds of weird crap can happen if you don't have the low-pass filter in line. You actually see it in your scope, in your modulation envelope. It'll be lighter on top than on the bottom, and you see the density issues in the waveform and density variations. You hook up the low pass filter and you get a nice neat sine wave.
That's something else that I spotted on one of his pictures, is he had a 2-pallet amplifier, and of the 4 feedback resistors that he had in the picture, one of them was a different value. Maybe it was an accident that he just put in the wrong one, or maybe he was trying something. Something else that you can do with 2 pallets is have a separate power lead going to each pallet, and then one of them you just put through your current meter backwards, and so you can measure the differential current between the 2 pallets. W9AM.
8RWS.
W9AD.
Good info, Michael. Thank you. I made notes.
Okay. Yeah, it's the way he feeds power to those 2 pallets. I think I would rebuild that harness thing that he has, and to be able to put your clamp on amp meter in there to look at the current going to each half of each pallet.
I was just thinking that because it's all one feed. Kind of one feed going to a couple of U's.
Yeah.
Maybe I should ask him that question too. How does he do it?
Well, yeah, it could be that he's just going for compact packaging, and you could rebuild that harness too.
And your 9M.
W9AM. And I would have just 4 equal length pieces of wire going up there from your power source.
WR6G.
W9AD.
W9AM.